everybody. This is Christal with the Recap Room, and Happy New Year. This is one of our first interviews of 2024, and so we hope the year is going amazing for you. Today we have a very special expose. We have an interview with Chantal Everett, who we first met on 90 Day Fiance, and then we had a chance to get to know a little bit more of her on The Single Life. Welcome to the Recap Room.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being our first interview of 2024. That's a big deal because we had a great time last year really talking about relationships. We do a segment here called Relationship Rhetoric, where we talk a little bit about relationships, the highs and lows. And I feel like if anybody can speak to that, it would definitely be...
Well, you know I've been through it all.
You've been through it all. Well, first we got a chance to meet you on 90 Day Fiance.
Yes.
Right? And so it is a huge, that franchise is like a monster franchise. I got addicted, and I mean, the lives of people in different cultures is so fascinating. What drew you, because I asked you before we start talking, what drew you to the show initially, being such a young person? What was it about 90 Day Fiance that made you get hooked to the show?
Okay, so when I first realized that Pedro and I were going to go through with the K-1 visa process,
okay,
I started watching the 90 Day Fiance, and I was a fan. And I saw the different couples going through their trials and tribulations, and I thought, wow, we are nothing like that. So I thought, well, I want to be on that show. I want to show the world, my love, the love that we have and how great we are.
Is there a couple that stood out to you that you thought, I really relate to how they feel about each other? Even if the drama at that time might not have been there, but who was it on the show that you really liked at first?
Initially, I really was a big fan of Paola,
okay.
And they call her Pao, Russ and Pao. I really was a big fan of her, and they're doing well. They have their son, and she's doing some professional wrestling, and they're doing really well. So I still look up to the both of them.
Okay,
relationship-wise.
I'm not gonna lie, I did not think they were gonna make it. I like them, but I just thought that she's just this beautiful girl, and she had all these ideas of what living in America was gonna be like. And initially, that wasn't quite how things were. Right. And so she had to go off on her own and, kind of do a little modeling and kind of see that, maybe the dreams weren't quite the way they were presented, in America.
And I'm so proud of her because she really dug her heels in and took a bull by the horns, and she's doing well with her modeling and her, like I said, she's a professional wrestler, and she's doing acting.
Yeah, and they stay together.
They're still together. They're two very different individuals, but that's why they gave me hope, because they worked somehow.
Okay, all right, now we started there, but we got to go back. We got to rewind, because I initially thought that you and Pedro were introduced through the show, but we learned that you actually were already in the relationship. So we're going to start back at that. How, it seems like we know young love is exciting and it's passionate, but to deal with someone that is not in the country, I can't imagine having that obstacle already in place.
Right.
So let's talk about how the two of you guys met and why that was something that you wanted to invest in, this relationship.
So I met my ex-husband through my high school Spanish teacher.
Okay.
And he had an apartment in the Dominican Republic, and I went to visit him. And on this trip, I met Pedro. And immediately he started love bombing me.
Okay.
And I know that that's what narcissists do now. But anyway, I did fall in love with him, and he proposed to me, and he made it very clear that even though I was still in college and I had not graduated nursing school, and I had every intention of doing that before marriage, he pressured me to get married to him.
Yeah.
He told me that he would leave me if
we didn't get married. Wow. Okay.
So in order to save my relationship with somebody who I love, I agreed to do the K-1 visa.
Wow. That is a lot for a college student. How old were you when you first met Pedro?
25.
Okay. Okay. So you were grown.
I was grown. Yeah.
What had your relationships been prior? Because I'm just imagining at that age, you probably had a couple of boyfriends before, maybe high school sweethearts or something like that.
So at that time, I had ended my relationship with my boyfriend of 4 years.
Okay.
And I was looking for something new. I wanted to explore the world and learn more languages. So that's what drew me to the Dominican Republic.
And that probably felt very exciting.
Oh yeah, it was very exciting, very idyllic. You know, I'm on vacation, and it's easy to get swept up in your emotions.
Absolutely, it's easy for anyone, but definitely at that point in life because you have all these aspirations and you don't know that love isn't always enough, right?
Right.
Love is not always enough. So,
and then more than anything, I didn't have the discernment at the time because even though I had been dating and I was 25, which is considered, a grown adult, I really didn't have a lot of dating experience because I've been with the same person for 4 years.
Yeah.
And
so what was that relationship like? Because I think a lot of times what we look for in the next relationship is the opposite of the one that we were in, right? Especially okay, let me figure out what I didn't like here and find that in the next situation. So what was your first relationship like?
My first relationship was with a tall, light-skinned man. He had the long hair, like very long. Okay. And he looked a little bit like a pimp, but he wasn't. But anyway, he was a ladies' man. Okay. And very, very handsome. Okay. Anyway, what went wrong there? I was just with him for so long, and in the United States, well, my experience. I was with him for so long, and I wanted to get married. Okay. And it didn't seem like that was something that he wanted, so I ended up breaking it off after 4 years.
Because you're like, what are we doing?
Yeah, after 4 years, and then when I met Pedro, even though he was pressuring me to get married, I thought that he loved me.
Right. And see, that's what I'm saying. Like, I believe, just like you said, he didn't want to get married. Right. 4 years, he doesn't want to get married. Meet this guy, he's so intensely in love, and the first thing he wants to do is get married.
And it's all that I have wanted to do in my past relationship.
I'm telling you, it's an easy formula to figure out. Whatever we miss is what we look for.
You know what I've learned? With dating, don't shop hungry.
That's good.
Don't shop hungry because you see, I was out of my out of my 4-year relationship with my ex. I was hungry for the commitment. I was hungry to take things to the next level when I should have taken that time to look inward.
Yes.
And just work on myself and not entertain anybody else.
I love that.
So if I would have done that, I would have saved myself 7 years of trouble.
Well, we wouldn't have been entertained. We enjoyed the relationship, but that's really good advice. That's really good advice to women out there. Don't for anything, but specifically when it comes to probably men as well. Don't shop hungry. So let's talk about this relationship because one of the things that we saw on the show, 90 Day Fiance, is that there was a huge difference in your cultures as far as like what he expected of family, what you were used to. You obviously have a very close family as well, but he was really, seems like very intimidated by that. So when you guys first started to talk and you're filling out the K-1 visa, what was your expectations of what family life would be like after you two were married?
Well, I felt like after the two of us were married that we would have, just be happy. I thought that we were going to have a traditional family because I grew up in a traditional family and he seems like he told me that that's what he wanted. Yeah. And I feel like he probably ended up being jealous of what I had going on with my family, and his dad had children, and his mom, seduced him, and then had Pedro and his sister. Yeah. So it was, just unfortunate for him, but I feel like it really bothered him that that wasn't my reality.
Right. Did you guys talk a lot about that? Because even that dynamic, I'm sure, obviously provided a lot of trauma for him in some ways, learning about that. And then even the dynamic between you and his family, it seemed like there was a little bit of angst there because it was so different. And your expectations were definitely different than their expectations. So initially, when everything was roses, what was the conversation like with the two of you about how life would be like once he was here?
He told me so many lies. I mean, he told me that just everything that he said was a lie. Like everything. Like he was like, oh, I'll make you the happiest. I'll do anything for you to be happy. And when he got here, it just switched like on a dime. Like he just turned into a completely different person.
Yeah.
One of the things, we had promises to one another. Mm-hmm. One of the things that he said that never came to fruition was that after I graduate nursing school, he's going to go to college.
Right, yes.
And he never did. Mm-hmm. He left me for his boss.
Yeah. Do you think that he
left me for a convicted felon.
And did. Do you think that
Mom, are you trying to get me in trouble? Am I going to get in trouble? Hold on one second. She's like, don't forget this, don't forget that. And I'm like, just feeding into it. Oh my God. Let me get back to...
Well, while we're at it, don't forget that the mutual friend who was your ex-high school teacher that insisted on moving in with you guys, who raised little D.
I gotta leave you home.
He raised little D since he was 8 years old.
Mom, I gotta leave you home.
I'm sorry. And then he moved in the apartment with you guys, and they were very controlling.
If she wants to.
He moved into the apartment with them, one bedroom apartment.
She's got all the
think
that?
Okay,
do you want to come in the last segment?
I don't know. I'm not as poised as Chantel.
Well, I think that because she's so poised, we'll be fine. The last segment, we'll just say.
Yeah, you can do the last segment. I'm gonna.
I don't want those felons. I don't want those felons and those voodoo working
bitches. Mom, you're gonna waste the time. Let me go. Okay.
I don't want them to get me. I don't want to get got.
Okay, where do we go? We'll see if we can get her in the last segment. We'll go back to.
Sorry.
You're fine. Let's go back to when I asked you, do you think that he was playing this, or do you think that he came here and just couldn't live up to what he was saying?
I think it was an absolute scam and plan by my teacher / mutual friend who introduced me to him.
Okay.
His mom, his sister, and him. I think that it was like how you have like a trajectory for your family, or you sit down and have family meetings. Right. I think it was a part of the family meeting that he was supposed to take advantage of some young
beautiful
woman,
American girl.
And I was the only one stupid enough at the time. I was so naive, but now
you've learned.
Hindsight 2020. I'm never gonna let that happen to me again.
Right. Well, we're gonna take a break, but when we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about that friend, because it's just interesting to me as a mother myself to hear that a high school teacher, that someone that you kind of entrust your child with when you're in high school, would later be the one that would introduce you to this man, in another country. That's just something I want to talk about. We're going to dig into that when we come back. We're going to take a break. We're going to come right back to the recap room with more from Chantal Everett. We're going to talk about this, and then we're going to get into what she's doing now on The Single Life, which you can see, of course, on Lifetime. Stay tuned. This is Christal Jordan. This is the recap room, and we'll be right back. And we are back. This is Relationship Rhetoric on the recap room, and we, of course, are talking with our first guest for 2024, Chantal Everett. And we're going through your story, and I just wanted you to give me a little clarity, because for me, when I hear a former high school teacher introduced you to this guy, I wonder, what was your relationship with the teacher? Was he like a mentor to you? How did he end up inviting you to the Dominican Republic and then introducing you to Pedro?
Yeah, well, after high school, we kept in touch.
Okay.
And we were friendly, just friends.
Okay.
And he he told me that he had an apartment in the Dominican Republic,
Okay.
and that other students were coming to visit him. Other people. He has people there all the time.
Okay.
So I decided that I wanted to go out of the country because I'd never been before.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
So did he tell you that he had someone he wanted you to meet? Did he orchestrate
Yes.
this? Okay.
So before I went to the Dominican Republic, he did introduce me to my ex-husband, and we started chatting online.
Okay.
And that gave me more of a reason to go as well. I wanted to meet him.
Yeah. So then when you got there, you were already excited.
Yeah.
You had extra. Okay. That kind of gives us some context to how this happened and how he was able to sweep you off your feet. Because you said, that you were naive, but actually most women, no matter what the age are, would be open to meeting someone that's being referred by someone they trust. So I think that's very normal. It doesn't look like you were naive. It looks more like you were taken advantage of.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move up today. So Pedro comes here. You guys are on the show. What was that like? What was his response to the cameras and the fact that you guys' life was going to be shared with all the TLC viewers?
Oh, it was nerve-wracking at first. It was hard to get used to having cameras follow you everywhere. It's definitely they get very personal, and then the crew eventually becomes just more like family, or it's you forget that they're even there.
What was it like for you? Because I'm thinking that obviously you had this idea to go on the show. Was the reality of the show what you imagined it to be?
No, it wasn't what I had imagined it to be. Because everybody's life, things are not perfect in everyone's life, and those are the moments that are going to be magnified, not the good things.
Right.
That's not interesting.
Right.
The interesting part to make a show is, the arguments, the conflict, and I didn't know it at the time, but there were so many things that they could pick up on our relationship and then display it for the world to pick apart.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's good. I want to talk a little bit about that because a lot of the young women that watch this show have aspirations of being on reality TV, and everybody watches it and thinks that they would do something different, right?
Yeah.
So can you kind of give us some examples of things that you had no idea what the reaction would be like when you actually saw it? Like, oh my God, I didn't realize that they were going to edit this way. Like something that made them seem very minuscule when they were able to edit it and make it seem a certain way had a totally different response when the public saw it.
Well, you have to understand that the shows, they're only, 30 minutes to an hour long. And we live an entire day.
Right.
So they have to fit everything, especially on the 90-day. Especially on the 90-day, they have to fit everything into these short segments. And there will be like 6 couples on one episode. So there's lots of things that you're going to miss out on. And maybe the context of a reaction is cut short. So sometimes the viewer doesn't really understand, why that person's so upset.
What are some things that you wish the cameras did see, like some good stuff that happened in the relationship that you feel like we didn't get a chance to see? Was there any
good things? I don't have any regrets. I feel like they've seen everything they had to see. That's enough. They've seen enough.
What about your family? Because
they could have seen more of my family.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like that's one thing.
Yeah.
I feel like my family. Yeah, I feel like my family was shown so often reacting to my messes that the viewers really missed out on their individual personalities and who they actually are. And my mom's very, very kind-hearted and sweet, and she has a soft side, but she had to be a mama bear. In every instance that involved me with my ex-husband.
Right.
So, and that's what the show was about, from 90-day happily ever after, and then the family Chantel. So that's what you're gonna see.
Yeah.
So the focal point of the show, unfortunately, left out some of the lighter sides of my family.
That's fair. But people really did like your family. I think that's why that's why the network, did invest and did keep you guys as a part of it for so long. What was their reaction like to seeing themselves on TV and actually seeing and just seeing you and Pedro? Like, what was your mom and what was your family's reaction, and what was their response when the cameras were off?
Oh, they just hated to see some of the things that they didn't see while they were there. So there's different, I guess you see different segments. So there's some segments where my mom and dad, they're not in the room, where it's like me and Pedro in our own home.
Mm-hmm.
And when they go back and they see that, what has transpired between us, it makes them very sad, and they wish that they could protect me in this.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Did your dad ever want to?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Which franchise was your favorite, or which series do you think you were the happiest? From 90 Day Fiance to Happily Ever After to The Family Chantal. That's pretty big to have
my experience in 90 Day, all up until Family Chantel, was so difficult. It was a constant struggle and battle.
Okay.
So I am relieved to be on The Single Life now,
and
I feel like I've had the best experience here.
Okay, that makes sense. So
I've had the best experience on The Single Life.
Well, I love the fact that you got to go out of the country again, but and to date again. And I want to work our way to that, because I want to talk about what you're learning and experiencing now as a new single woman, what you've had a chance to do. But let's talk a little bit about that transition, because those series we didn't think that you were struggling the entire time. You and Pedro seemed very, committed to trying to make the marriage work, even though there was a lot of hurt there. Do you think that he at any time was truly committed to the relationship, or do you think it was all do you think he got kind of caught up?
I think he was never committed to the relationship from the moment he got in the country, because, you'll see in the very first 90 Day season, I talked to him about children, and he says he doesn't want to have them for 5 years.
Yeah.
Well, 5 years later, I'm asking about children. He still doesn't want to have them, and he had planned to not have children with me so that he can leave me and get his citizenship with a clean slate.
Wow. That's one of the things that I do worry about with that show, as much as people like watching it. And I don't want to ask you about any of your castmates, but do you think that there is a high possibility that some of the people that are coming, we already know that there is. We already know.
High possibility
of people really just coming for the opportunity more than the relationship. It seems like a lot of the people that are in other countries really want the opportunity to come to America and live this, lavish lifestyle that they see on television.
Lavish. It's not.
But I think they see it that way, because even like with Paula, she came and she was like, this is boring. This is not what I expected it to be. And I think she had great intentions, but I think there's this idea of what life in the States is like.
I feel like there are some instances where people are abusing the K-1 visa and trying to use people with it. And it just sucks that it's not being taken care of or controlled, and there's no repercussions. Barely, right?
Yeah.
But I do believe that there are some times where it is really necessary to have the K-1 visa, and I think that I really would caution someone who has fallen in love quickly against, trying to get the person here and marry them just to have them here.
Right.
You have to be around somebody for 4 seasons. And I'm not talking like vacations here and there to really know how they are. And you just never know. People can scam you right here in this country, honestly.
That's a fact.
My sister, she was with somebody for the same amount of time as my marriage, 7 years without being married, and found out he had a child, and
she didn't know about the child?
No, and he did, and he'd been fighting for custody of the child under her nose, like not telling her where he was going and everything. So, people are just evil.
Yeah, I think that proves it's not necessary. Definitely out of the country is an entirely different obstacle, right? But you can still be scammed even here in, someone that lives, in the same zip code with you can keep things from you if that's what they're
And you really just have to trust your gut, trust your intuition, because your intuition, even if you don't logically sometimes know that something's wrong with a certain situation, your intuition, that feeling in your stomach, that's your nerves.
Yeah.
That's your nervous system that has stored all of your experiences for survival, and you should listen to that because that will protect you at times.
I agree with that.
It's instinct.
It's an instinct. I think it's a God-given instinct that especially women have, that if we listen to it, right, if we learn to trust it and listen to it, I think that can help us a lot.
I'll tell you one thing. When I was going to the embassy for my interview with my ex-husband, I did get sick. I got sick standing in line, and I threw up. And then he said in Spanish that I was pregnant to put me to the front of the line, and then we had to do our interview with her. But I feel like that was my intuition, my nervous system. Something wasn't right. Something I knew, I didn't know. My brain didn't know, but my body knew that this is a danger.
Something's not right.
Yeah.
It's a subconscious intuition. I think it's an instinct that we have that's a gift, and I think that the more mature you become, you learn to listen to that a lot more, right? So I'm loving this. So we're going to take another break. We're going to take another quick break. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk with Chantal all about the single life, because she's back 2024. I love the fact that they started this series on New Year's, fresh new start. So you've got a chance to really kick off 2024. Well, we got a chance to see you kicking off 2024. We know you filmed before.
Oh, the single life is where it's at.
The single life is where it's at. We're going to be right back. This is the recap room. Right back with Chantal Everett. Don't go anywhere. Hey, I'm back. It's Christal Jordan, and this is the Recap Room Relationship Rhetoric. You guys know we love talking about relationships, and I am so enjoying my conversation with Chantal Everett. Now, we talked about the bad, right? We started out with the bad, and now we're going to get to the good, and we're going to get to the gooder, because she is on The Single Life, which airs, of course, on TLC, and we're getting a chance to see Chantal out getting her, first of all, loving on herself, loving on her friends, and dating, reclaiming her womanhood, and doing it all on television.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, how did this series start?
Oh my gosh, the series started so well. It starts out with me and my friends on a trip to Greece.
Love it.
Yes,
It's so
Greece.
beautiful.
Oh my god, and the food is so healthy and delicious, and the people are so beautiful. It's easy to definitely get swept up in the fantasy and the love and all that.
You did have, tell us a little bit about the romance there. And I was like, okay, Chantal's already got a handsome young man. Tell us a little bit about that. How did that start, and where did that go wrong?
So, okay, things went kind of, I wouldn't say wrong, but they got really, how do I get into this? How do I say it?
Well, I saw that you saw some red flags.
Not with Giannis. I guess I'm looking at the whole picture, because when I first got to Greece, I met a different guy.
Okay.
Amelia's.
Okay.
So, getting to Greece and learning to date again was definitely exciting and still uncomfortable. Yeah. Especially when I have my friends pressuring me to talk to different guys and walk up to them and get their numbers and things. And I ended up talking to this one guy who had a bike, like a motorcycle, and I was riding on the back of it, and I kissed him the first day, and you were
having fun.
I was just having fun, but I get so much hate from everybody about that, and I mean, it's not what I would normally do, and I haven't done that before actually, but I think that in the moment.
Well, first of all, those haters,
drinking a little bit.
The haters are hating because women go out of town on girls trips all the time. Yeah. And when you go out of town to a place with a lot of beautiful people, I don't think there's anything wrong. I don't think there's a time limit or time lapse on when you should kiss a person. I don't think you were doing anything wrong. Now, it might not have been the right person, but I think you were just enjoying being a woman.
I don't know if he was the right person or not, because I never heard from him again.
Okay, so he wasn't.
I didn't call him or anything. I was just mortified.
He was not the right person, if that's the case. But it was fun. I don't think there's anything. And I think that sometimes women are too hard on each other for that, because we wouldn't say anything to a guy.
My sisters are being so hard on me this season, even though I'm having so much fun.
Well, we're gonna tell them to back up. Y'all back up off my girl Chantal, because and also they're being hypocritical. They're being hypocritical because other women are doing the same thing, but because you're on television, it's so easy to cast a stone. But trust me.
And I've been married for 7 years.
Yeah, and you're
been
young.
faithful.
You're young. You've been tied down with a crazy person, you know?
Yeah.
You had to get yourself together. And I think that's normal. I was talking to a girlfriend on the way here, and she was saying she'd been in a 10-year relationship, and she got out of it, and she just wanted to have fun.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about, and what better place to do it than in Greece? So let's talk about, so we kissed a guy on a motorcycle, which sounds really fun to me.
Yeah.
Not now, because I'm married, but
Oh.
I wasn't married, that sounds fun. So what was it like actually talking to guys and getting different energy back? Because Pedro was, at the end of that relationship, was so toxic.
I was so afraid to talk to guys, and my relationship with, my confidence could still use some work talking to guys, and my relationship with guys could improve.
Yeah.
Still. So, I am in therapy, and I'm working on it. It's a process. I've been married for 7 years, and it was very toxic. So I am nervous to get to know people, and I am scared of,
getting hurt, but you're
getting
beautiful.
hurt.
You're an absolutely beautiful girl, and you have so much to offer. I think that I love the fact that you're working on yourself and you're going to therapy, but I think that's something that everyone goes through. I think reality television, in some cases, it's all about drama, but I think it allows other women to see someone that's going through it and has the courage to share that, and it does empower people. The people that are empowered probably aren't as loud as the people that are critical, but I think there are a lot of young women that have gone through situations like that and appreciate the fact that they see you bouncing back.
Yeah, okay, and then one of the things that I talked with my therapist about, I will share with you. You have to keep trying to date and keep having new experiences with other people, and I'm getting a lot of lashback from the viewers saying that I need to slow down, take time for myself, take time away from dating. But at the end of the day, do I want to be alone for the rest of my life? I mean, I'll be 33 in a few days.
Yeah.
So I feel like it would behoove me to keep experiencing new people and have fun. Maybe not take everyone so seriously,
right?
But maybe one of them will work.
Absolutely, one of them will work.
Yeah. And I did meet someone who's very promising.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit? Give us a little bit of his characteristics. Like, what do you like about him so far?
Oh my God. I like everything about Giannis so far, and it is scary. It scares me because we are in a different country.
Yes, I was gonna say now, Chantal, we're right back at.
Yeah,
right back
it's happening again. It's happening again. Those blue eyes are so dreamy. It's tall, very muscular.
I like that.
Different than anything that I've ever dated before.
Okay.
How
does he treat you?
Like a gentleman. And it's scary still.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary to me still because I have a guard up. And I'm just wondering, is this real? Is this gonna change?
Yeah.
He's very manly, very, very much of a traditional man.
Okay.
Both of his parents are still together, just like mine. I'm looking for these little things that maybe I overlooked before, but they're so important. I think now. I didn't know it before. I didn't think it was, but it does matter because we have that in common, and we can identify with each other on our family dynamics.
Have you guys talked about what you want in a family? Like, does he want children? Does he want to move to the United States?
The only thing about him, he doesn't want to live in the United States.
Would you consider, your mother is here, and I don't want her to be mad at me, but would you consider moving to Greece?
I might. I don't know. I love Greece. It's so beautiful.
It's beautiful.
He says that he doesn't want to live here, but maybe he can change his mind. If we get that far.
If you get that far.
I don't want to make the same mistake that I made with my ex.
And I definitely know Mom probably does not want you to go to Greece, but I'm just wondering.
But it would be a luxurious life for sure.
Mom says she wants to go to Greece.
I feel like it would be like a perfect life, idyllic in Greece. I think I could live very comfortably there.
I don't know, but see, I don't want you to make the mistake that other people make looking at the United States. You could be looking at that the way they're looking at the U.S.
But I know God, I feel like he takes such good care of me.
Well, we're rooting for you, but we want you to take it slow. There may be an amazingly tall, beautiful, blue-eyed, amazing gentleman here in the United States. Okay.
I don't have a type. You know, everybody always asks me if I have a type, and I don't.
Obviously.
And I always think that, you know, don't go for looks.
Right.
Because.
But what about, okay, let me ask you this, Chantal, because I hear a lot of women say that, and I wonder, but don't you have to be attracted to the person at some level in order to, you know, feel that type of romantic connection?
Yeah, but it's not everything. It's all about what's inside,
That's true.
what's in your heart.
That's absolutely true.
And, you know, I was married, I thought he was attractive. Now I can't stand to look at the side of him. But, thought he was very attractive.
So when you met Pedro, you thought he was attractive?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was married to him, and look how ugly he was on the inside.
On the inside. That's the most important thing. So we want you to find someone that's beautiful on the inside. What advice would you give to other young ladies that are considering coming on reality TV? Because I know you're saying that the relationship was doomed before because just of who he is, right?
Yeah.
The fact that it didn't work. But what would your advice be to people that are coming on and may not realize that the cameras can be intrusive, fans of the show can be critical? What would your advice be for someone that doesn't know but really wants to be on the show?
On this particular show?
On any reality show.
Any reality show.
Mm-hmm.
I think before you go on any reality show, you have to know, okay, one, are you going to be committed to having people criticize your life and be, you know, walking up to you and acting like they know you and giving you advice, and then are you going to be strong enough to not read the comments? And you might want to look into some therapy, honestly, because I think a lot of times, and I'm not a victim of it, but I said victim, but I don't feel like a victim of reality television show. I feel like I have grown on reality television, and that I've grown as a person as well, and it's made me better. But I feel like a lot of people have unrealistic expectations of what it means to go on a reality show.
Right.
And they think that they have, you know, maybe not as much skeletons in the closet that are going to come out, or they think that they have control over how they are going to be portrayed, or and they really don't have creative control at all. So.
Right. Yeah, I think that's one thing that people don't realize, that you're not involved in the editing process.
Yeah.
At all.
All you can do, my biggest advice, my biggest advice to anyone going on a reality show of any kind is to be true to yourself and don't do anything that you don't agree with morally or that you wouldn't ordinarily do in real life. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be sitting in interviews like this, and you're going to have to answer for everything that you've done.
Yeah. And
if you did something, you know, just for TV, or you did something that you can't explain, you're gonna feel bad.
Yeah.
Or you're going to not be able to answer for your actions.
Yeah.
So I always stay true to myself. Don't let anybody pressure me into doing anything I don't want to do. And keep it 100.
Keep it 100. And as you grow, you grow.
Yeah.
So what you know, you do the best you can when you can. I'm going to ask you one question before we get out of here, because we talked a little bit about this on break, and I want you to share this with the viewers. Your best moment from your show, not The Single Life, because we obviously know there's a lot of good moments from The Single Life. Your favorite moment when you felt like you came into Chantal and you put yourself first for the first time. What was that moment?
My favorite moment on The Family Chantel was when I took all of the money out of the joint bank account. And it was so empowering because that was the first time in 7 years that I had thought enough of myself to make a big big gesture of love for myself.
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel like that was self-love.
That was self-love,
Yeah.
and it had to feel good kind of watching the reaction.
Of
Once
course.
he realized the money was gone.
And it felt good, even though, you know, you're not supposed to get a laugh at, you know, someone else's suffering, but it did feel good that he wasn't able to do some of the things that he wanted to do because he had taken so much from me.
Yeah.
And I was nothing but a faithful wife.
Well, we are, first, like I said, we're rooting for you. We can't wait to see more from you on The Single Life. We hope that we'll be able to watch The Single Life, and then eventually we'll be able to watch again as you fall in love, because at this point the audience is so vested in you and your family. I am vested just sitting here talking to you and your mom. I want to know what's going to happen. I want to keep up with you. So tell people where they can find more, because there's the reruns and everything.
Okay, yeah. So you can watch it on Discovery Plus. You can watch it on TLC, and there's one more. There's a goodness. It's a live. It's Mom, you said BSR, and it just threw me off. It's not on BSR.
I was like, BSR. We'll start.
Anyhow, you can watch it.
Hold on, let's start that over again. Okay, so Chantal, let people know where they can find more from you, from all the series. I know there are reruns, all that stuff is on. Let people know where they can see you.
You can watch it every day on TLC at 8 on, not every day. You can watch it on Mondays.
Let's do it one more time.
I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries. Okay, so Chantal, I know that people are going to be just as invested in you, if they already aren't, as I am and your family. So let people know where they can see you at weekly on TLC.
You can see me weekly on Mondays on not the Family Chantal. What are we? The Single. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'll just say it. Okay. Okay. You can see me on Mondays on The Single Life on TLC. Also, you can tune in on the Discovery Plus app.
Cool beans. Well, you know you can always reach us right here at the Recap Room. This has been your girl, Christal Jordan. And I hope you got some of those gems from Chantel. The best one, I think, for today that I want so many people out there to get is do not shop while hungry. That is such great dating advice. And of course, don't look for what you don't have in something new.
Because guess what? I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
If you look for what you don't have in something new, you might get what you didn't have, but you might also not get what you really need or really want to. So you got that one thing you're holding on to there.
Absolutely. And that is called a rebound, ladies and gentlemen. And we do not want to go for rebounds. So definitely shout out to my girl for giving us with some good wisdom for today. Make sure that you check back in with us. We're kicking the year 2024 off strong. This is the Recap Room. I'll see you guys.